Welcome to this presentation on Changing the Way Students Learn. Hello, I am Carly Stewart and I am currently a media specialist that works at two high schools in a rural district in central Ohio. Through the groundbreaking research of Peter C. Brown, Henry L. Roediger III, and Mark A. McDaniel, I will share information on understanding how our brains work and what we can do to develop change in our students and classrooms. Additional work for this presentation is provided by the work by Carol Dweck on understanding mindset. The learning objectives for this presentation are as follows. Participants will be able to define fixed versus growth mindset and apply the best concept to improve the classroom environment. Participants will be able to list and define two types of praise and design statements to refocus on a growth mindset. Participants will be able to list and give 3 examples of mnemonic device strategies and how they can be integrated into lessons. Wouldn't it be great to have students who never give up, who are willing to take risks and keep trying even if they are wrong? Now we will look at altering how students view themselves as learners and guide them in a new mindset. This may sound like a daunting task, but it does not require you to revamp your entire lesson plan format or teaching structure. As a media specialist, I am here to support and collaborate with you on student-centered projects that will develop our students to succeed beyond the confines of our classrooms and into the future. Our brains are plastic and malleable organs. It has the ability to change and grow. Scientists refer to this as neuroplasticity. This physiological phenomenon in the brain is what runs through the neurons and neural pathways holding our knowledge and memories. The structure of the brain appears to be determined by genetics, but also our experiences. These both contribute to the formation of our neural network. The brain is an evolving vessel that can be rerouted, so to speak, when it is damaged or injured. This is referred to as neurogenesis, which aids in individual lifelong learning and the ability for the brain to repair itself. From birth, as humans, we take in a large amount of information in those early years of development. Then, around first grade and on into early adulthood, there is little change in the synapse development of our brain. It is during this time that we do most of our learning. There are also other factors that affect our intelligence. How we measure intelligence is what we call IQ, or intelligence quotient. This is a result of our genes, but there are also issues attributed to environment. Environmental factors can include socioeconomic and nutrition. There is a measurable difference in IQ between children from more affluent families than those of children from impoverished families. The study showed if children were adopted into an affluent environment, there was no discernible difference in their IQ. The socioeconomic status of the birth parents, whether high or low, did not matter. Providing dietary supplements to women also appeared to have an effect on IQ increases. It was found that certain fatty acids that the body does not produce are needed for nerve cell development of synapses, and some research points to benefits of B-complex vitamins. Research continues in this area for definitive conclusions. What we do know is when lower income students are enrolled in early education classes, they have shown an increase in their IQ. Also, if parents of these students are given the tools and training to work with children at home, there have also been recorded gains in IQ. In her research, Carol Dweck focuses on 2 types of mindset for learning. A fixed mindset is where the learner believes their intelligence is fixed or determined. A growth mindset is where the learner believes that their intelligence can be developed or improved. What she describes in repeated studies was when students with a growth mindset were engaged, they showed higher achievement than those who were of a fixed mindset. When a student fears they are not smart, they can seem vulnerable and helpless. When performance is the objective, students can hold back from taking the risk. Students with a growth mindset feel that learning is within their control, so they keep trying even if they don't succeed the first time. As educators, Dweck suggests practicing use of praise. We need to be aware that praise can have an effect on both fixed and growth mindset. if we use ability praise, the result is short term. Initially, the student is happy, but in the end it backfires because if learning becomes more difficult, they disengage. Avoid using phrases such as, "You're really smart." As teachers and parents, we may all be guilty of believing we are building self-esteem when we should worry about the fixed mindset we have created. It is not intentional, but we can do a better job knowing this difference. In students who are given process praise, for example, "I like the way you try so hard," they continue to be engaged even if they were not initially successful, but believe they will get it if they keep trying, and in the end, they are successful. The American Association of School Librarians created a document that focuses on the skills needed for our students as 21st century learners. For example, when does a student have the proficiency to explore topics or subjects? Is the student able to use high-level thinking to gain or share information? Or can the student self-assess strengths or weaknesses to become a better learner? It will be difficult for those students who have a fixed mindset. If we are to achieve these goals set by the standards, then we need to guide students in a growth mindset. To cultivate this mindset, teachers can praise students who are directed toward the learning process. When we evaluate their efforts, strategies, and persistence, the focus is on the learning, and the students are able to analyze problems fully and improve with effort. The future belongs to these types of excited and resilient learners. Teaching students to use mental tools to help hold material for later is known as a mnemonic device. Examples are Roy G. Biv, which stands for red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, is used to remember the variations of color in the color wheel. Another is the phrase illustrated in our example to recall planets in the solar system. A more complex tool associated with mnemonic devices is called the memory palace. This method links imagery with memory. People have a tendency to remember pictures clearer than words. A student can create a mental map of a familiar place and link it with the desired information for later recall. By visualizing this space and develop relationships, they will be able to recall information when needed as if they were walking through that space. The third is the use of rhyme scheme. An example is using the PEG method, where terms are linked to the numbered pair up to 20. 1 equals sun, 2 equals screw, 3 equals tree, and so on. This method can also be altered by linking the tune of a familiar song and rewriting the lyrics to the needed items for recall. The possibilities are virtually endless to these useful strategies. Other tools, such as retrieval practice, spacing, and interleaving, work with the neural processes mentioned earlier in this presentation. Using these methods strengthen memory and result in better long-term learning. As students develop these mental models, they actually change their brains. Rather than focus on intelligence or talent, we need to focus on giving process praise feedback to our students. Dweck suggests examples that would look something like this. Number 1. You tried really hard and stuck with the problem to the end. I really admire the way you didn't give up. Or, number 2, focusing on encouraging struggle. That was a really tough problem. I really feel like you learned a lot. The use of constructive criticism is also a good learning strategy. Examples include, number 1, I know how disappointing it is when you don't get it right the first time, but sometimes it takes a couple of tries before we are successful. Or, number 2, let's not give up since this is our first time trying a new problem. So, what we know is that we are not born with a certain amount of intelligence, but that we can change the way we make connections and learn. As educators, we can help adjust the student view from a fixed to a growth mindset, thus changing the nature of our classrooms. As with most practice, it will not necessarily be easy, but it will be worth it. Teachers and library media specialists can set the example by working together as collaborators as we prepare our students to be 21st century learners beyond our classroom walls and into the future. If you have any questions or would like to extend our discussion, please feel free to contact me. Go out and make your classroom great. Thank you. For further information, you can see the references. I highly recommend the book Make It Stick by Brown, Roediger, and McDaniels, and various works by Carol Dweck. Thank you for your attention and joining me today.